Today we are going to be doing a live tutorial of a fantastic necklace which we have called the Kaleidoscope Kiss. It's lots and lots of fun. It's vibrant, it's summery, it's easy to make, which is also a fantastic thing to note as well. You can do it with whatever colors you want. If you want to go and get it, we have 3 different color options of kit, which you can get from the website. And we have a lovely discount if you want to get all 3 colors. I think it's 20% discount if you want to get all 3. So anyway, as I said, this particular design, I'll show you what it looks like in the flesh. I say in the flesh. For me, it's in the flesh. For you, it's via camera. But here we go. Let's just have a little look just here. So this is it just here. You can see it's made with tubular herringbone stitch, which I'm going to teach you some tubular herringbone stitch. There's lots of fun patterns, including watermelons and checkerboards and spirals and higgledy-piggledy things and stripes and whatever you want to do. There's lots and lots of different patterns. The kit, if you want to go and get our kit, does include 8 or 10 patterns. I have to check exactly how many. I think it's about 8, but there's lots of different ones in there, and there's going to be a bundle coming soon. Keep your eye out for that, of extras. But I'm going to show you how to do the technique, how to read the patterns as well, how you can do all of those sorts of things so that you can make yourself this lovely design. It can very easily be made into a necklace. It can be made into a bracelet. You can also do it as earrings. I've come up with a very clever way to do the clasp, which I'm going to show you that at the end. So make sure you stick around. But anyway, to start off with, first thing that we're going to do is go through and I'm going to explain the technique of double herringbone, tubular herringbone stitch. Then I'm going to show you how to do the patterns, for example, and explain all that to you as well. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you add on your findings, your clasp, your ear wires. Plus, I have a bonus finding, which I think you will really, really like. This one just here, which I've got 2 different ones, which I'll tell you about these a bit later on, but they're really fun little clasps that I will teach you about a little later on. They're just a little extra bonus. So anyway, as I said, first things first, we're going to be learning the technique. Now, I've got myself my cup of tea. Leslie says, did you make your coffee, Jan? I hope, Jan, you've got your coffee. She said she was going to. Actually, while I'm here, I almost always forget. Comment in, say hello to me, and I'll give you a shout out and we can, we can see who is here. We have a person whose name is Yet Another ASMR Channel, says, I love your videos. Thank you so much for these tutorials. David is here. He said, I'm now here, sorted out jewelry kits. Excellent. We have Leslie, Dawn, Carol is here. We have another Carol who is watching on Facebook because we are live simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. We have Madonna who says, finally making a live. Well, I'm glad you could be here, Madonna. Thank you very much for joining us. Monica is here from Borneo Island, if I remember correctly. Monica's one of our regular viewers. Robin is here from Australia. Whereabouts are all of you guys from? I want to know who's somewhere really exotic. Comment in and tell me where you are. Jermaine is here. Brittany is here from Louisiana. She says, I love your tutorials. We have Leslie who's here as well. Sandy from California. Welcome, Sandy. Lots and lots of comments today, which is great. Hi to Karen, Nancy, Zephyr, I think it says, my first time here. So excited to join and learn. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining, and I'm glad you could be here. And also, Andrew, my dad, is watching here from Sydney. I'm trying to show his comment. There it is. He's watching in Sydney at probably 2 in the morning. So thanks for watching, Dad, as well. Lots and lots of people. Keep commenting in where you are, and I'll keep giving out shout outs every now and again. But anyway, so yeah, this particular design, we have the 3 different kits, which each come with 5 different colors of seed beads with which you can make your bundles, of course. But of course, if you want to get multiple kits, you'll have multiple seed beads. You can mix them and match them as well, of course, which is great, and make all sorts of fantastic patterns. So these are the 3 different sets. Essentially, we've gone for like a different vibe from each one, which you can check them out on the Bead Spider website. But just to begin, I think I will use, here we go, this is the the 3rd set here. So there's these 5, and these 5. You get 5 colors to mix and match and play with. But if you get multiple kits, obviously you can mix them and match them however you want. They are lovely, lovely beads, and there's lots that you can do with them. But anyway, so to begin, I'm going to show you the technique basics. I'm going to do it with just a single color to start with, and then we'll get a bit more interesting, a bit more complex, and we will look at doing some patterns. So first things first, I'll just grab myself out a couple of my seed beads just here. Just lay them out on a bead mat, get however many colors out that you want. But anyway, once you have those, you're going to need a beading needle. And then I recommend like a skin tone color thread, because that will go with just about any seed bead and will hide against your skin. There's sort of natural tones that you can use, something like this. You can go with something darker if you have a darker skin tone. You can go with a white if you have very pale skin like me. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I'm going to demonstrate with a very, very dark thread just here so you can see exactly what I'm going to do. It may make our beadwork look not as nice as it could be, but at least then you guys will be able to see exactly what is happening. So if I just grab my little scissors, which are obviously now hiding from me, here's some. Let's just cut ourselves. Now with this, our thread, now with this particular design, with this one here, especially if you're making the necklace like this one, you will probably need to change threads. So I will go through and teach you how to change threads as well. But anyway, because you will need to change threads, I recommend just using a length of thread that you find comfortable to work with. So instead of trying to do the whole thing in one go, which can be an absolute faff, if you've got like a 4-meter long or 4-yard long thread, every time you've got to do a bead, it's an absolute mission. So I recommend use a length of thread that you find comfortable, probably a little over 1 arm's distance, something like that, which if I show you it on the other camera, sort of like, you know, that sort of amount. Just weave it out like that, maybe a little extra, and then cut something like that. So that's how I'm going to get mine. So I'll find the end of my thread just here, and you probably can hardly see it because it's very, very fine. Something like that, holding it out as far as my arm will go, maybe a little bit extra, not by much. But that just gives me a nice starting point that is going to be comfortable to work with, but at the same time is also going to be not too unwieldy. I can just do it, you know, I can add in extra thread anytime I need, which I will show you how to do that just in a little bit. So once you have your thread and your beading needle, let's just thread that through there. There we go. It's behaving nicely, which is always good. Let's pop back to the table now. So to begin, we're going to work with a little bit of essentially what is like a base, a ladder stitch base. So how you do that, it's really, really easy to just firstly pick up 4 beads. There's some good people who are liking my suggestion of using an arm's length. Leslie says not too much thread leads to tangles. I've learned from experience. Jan says, I know the feeling. Brittany says, I hate when it tangles. Exactly, exactly. And welcome to Curtis, by the way. Says, hello and happy Friday. Welcome to you, Curtis. So 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. So to begin, we're going to pick up, let's give ourselves a little zoom on in so we can see what we're doing. We're going to pick up 4 beads like this, and we're going to slide them down to the bottom of our work, and we're going to leave ourselves maybe a tail of about 6 to 8 inches, something like that. And then just pass through all 4 beads one more time. so that they kind of go like this. And we're going to fold it over into sort of two little columns like this and pass back up the first column once again. So you can see my thread's coming out just here on this side. So we're going to just go back up the other column once more. Now, Nancy says, what kind of thread is this? Anyone who has ever watched any of my streams ever will be able to tell you this is Spider-Lon beading thread. I only ever use the Spider-Lon thread because I love it. Now, in terms of beads, I'm using Preciosa size 10 seed beads. I'm a big fan of the Preciosa size 10s. They are very, very lovely quality, which is always good. So anyway, once we've got ourselves in position, we can add on our next little row of ladder stitch. So we're going to pick up 2 more seed beads and see how we're exiting from this side. We're going to loop around and back through those same 2 beads just there. So when you pull that tight, you can see we've got our 3 little sets just here, and we're going to go back down the one that we just added in just now. So pull that down, pull it through, and there you go. You've got your next one added. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more seed beads and see how we're exiting from this side now. We're going to loop around into the top and through there, pull that tight, and you can see we've got 4 little beads in a row now. We've just had Neva, who's just joined us from Egypt. Very exotic, very interesting. Thank you for joining us. Who else is somewhere weird or strange or interesting or exotic? Tell me where you all are. I want to know where you all are. Angelica says, hi from Wisconsin, for example. Let's go with 2 more. So see how we've got 4 little columns like this? We need 6 in total, so I'll pick up 2 more. We're going to loop around and back up that same little bead there. And then as we pull that tight, you can see now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll go back down the 2 beads that we just added like this. Pull it tight. And there we go. And now we'll pick up the last 2 seed beads, so that'll give us our 6. Jan says she's in the center of the universe. Well, I hope it's sunny there, Jan. So let's go from around once again and into the other side, like so. Pull it tight, and you'll see, there we go. We now have, when we go back up, that 6 little groups like this, and this is going to give us the base of our little piece just here. I've just realized I'm in left-hand view. I will flip it into right-hand view for all of you right-handers, because I know that you prefer it that way for the most part. I will switch between left and right-hand view just so that you guys get the gist of both. So what we're going to do at this point, we're going to turn this little flat piece into a little tube circle. So as I said, we're doing tubular herringbone today. So if you have a look, we're exiting from this little bead here. Instead of picking up 2 new beads, we're going to use our very first 2 beads as though they were our new beads. So all we have to do, we don't have to pick up any beads. We just go straight from this side. We're staying on this side and going down the 2 beads on the opposite end, just here. And as we pull that tight, I'll keep it relatively loose for now. So you can see I've got a thread that joins. If I just cover my tail thread, there we go. I've got a thread that joins one side to the other, and then we're going to come back into this opposite end once again, like this. And when you pull both of these threads nice and tight, you can see that it pulls it into a nice little ring. See? So we got 6 little columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little columns like this, in a lovely little stack. And this is the base of our work now. So if we go from here, we're going to start working in herringbone stitch. So if your base is a little bit loose, don't worry about that. That's not a problem. We are going to stitch it a little bit tighter in a second as we do this process. But anyway, this is essentially what you need for the base. So you can see we're coming out the top of this little bead just here. Now, don't forget, of course, when you're doing this, because I'm using a really dark thread, you'll see all of the thread. But if you were doing this with a skin tone colored thread, or like a light beige is often a good one because that just disappears, you won't see any of these threads. They'll be hidden. So now let's pick up 4 little beads just here, because we're working in what is essentially double herringbone stitch. Normal herringbone stitch, you would just pick up 2, but to do double, we're doing twice as many beads each time, so it's twice as fast, which when you have a really long tube to do, it's much, much quicker. So if you have a look, we're exiting from this little bead just here, and we're going to go from this one and directly down. It doesn't matter if you go clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's up to you, whichever one is easiest for you. But you go down this little bead directly beside it with your 4 beads. And when you pull that tight, you'll see those 4 little beads sit nicely on top, just like that there, of this previous 2 columns. So there's 2 beads extra in this column, 2 beads extra in this column. And now if we just rotate our tube the tiniest bit, we're going to go back up the next column directly beside. So up through these 2 here and pull tight. And now if we rotate it a teeny weeny little bit more, you'll see the 2 beads that we added before are now off to the edge over here. See them there? So we're going to pick up 4 more little beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. And once again, we're going to just go down the bead directly beside. So pick up 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. Pull tight. There you go. Those ones will now sit nicely on top of those ones there. And now if we just rotate it a little bit more, we can take the needle up the next column. So we've done 2 of those little sets. We've gone around 4 beads now. So if you have a look at the back, we have a little pair here, a little pair here. Let's add a 3rd and final pair here at the front. So 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. And then see that we've got just 1 little bead left just here that is not got any beads. So we're going to go down that one there like so. And then as we pull that tight, that's going to just sit on top of this. And now what we need to do is make sure that we're coming out the very, very top of our work. So if we go up through all those beads, including some of the ones that we added in our previous row, there we go, we'll now be coming back out at the very top of our tube. So when you pull that tight, you can see our little tube piece is now 4 rows high. See, look, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So now we're going to repeat the process again. So I'll just rotate my work like this. So I'm holding it between my 2 fingers just here. This helps me keep a nice firm tension, because if you keep a firm tension, you'll get a slightly stiffer necklace. You don't want it to be too floppy. You don't want it to be too loose. So if you're doing double herringbone stitch, trying to keep a nice firm tension is pretty good, I think. So let's do another 4 beads. So we pick up just again, once again, 1, 2, 3, and 4 beads. And exiting from this little one here at the back, we're going to go down into just the very first bead. I'll bring it to the front so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to go down just into this very one top bead beside. And you'll notice, see how each of these little groups of 2 beads that we added just before, they're sort of not connected to each other. When we do this now, we're about to connect them so that they will be joined. So we just go back up the very first bead of the next little column around our circle. When you pull that tight, look at that. It pulls these 2 rows that were separated apart, pulls them nice and tight towards each other. If we rotate it a little more, you can see we're now exiting from these little groups just here. So again, we're going to pick up 4 beads. Same as always, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we go down 1 bead across and up the top bead of the one beside, and keep that tail thread out of the way. And so we've done 2 of those extra things. See that? We got 2 more now. We need to add on the third and final one, and then we have to do what is called the stepping up process. So the stepping up process is where you go through some of those beads that you added, the first couple of beads that you added in this row. So what we're going to do, essentially, once we're going to pick up these 4 beads, we're going to go down this one bead here, and then when we come to, you know how usually we just go back up the one bead? Well, if we were to just go up one bead, you see you've still got 2 beads above that. So you need to go through those 3 as well. So we'll start by going down the bead beside and pull it tight so that our little stack is just sitting here. And now if I turn it, look, you can see we're coming all the way down here, 3 beads down. There's 3 beads to go all the way up there. And if we go up through 1, 2, 3, just like that there, we pull that tight and it gives us our next little bit of tubular herringbone. Next row is done. Now, if you wanted to change colors, for example, or just add in another color, whatever it is that takes your fancy, let's go with purple. Why not? Whatever. It's entirely up to you. You can get creative with the colors. Actually, do you know what? I like this orange color. I'm going to do some orange in here. So now, just to show you the difference between the rows, because obviously when you're doing your tubular herringbone stitch, you can keep doing it in these single colors if you want, but obviously the fun part comes when you're doing multiple colors and when you're making patterns and things like that. So like this one here, see how this is all like checkerboards, or you can do it with spirals, or this is the checkerboard here. You can do it with all spotty bits there. You can even make things like little watermelon sections if you want to, which are fun. Here's another fun little design. Once you want to start adding in these designs, you need to start sort of understanding, if you will, the concept of what exactly it is that you're doing. So I'll try and do it. Firstly, I'll show you it like a ring, and then I've got some diagrams which will help to explain. Maybe I'll show the diagrams first, actually. So if we have a look, what we're doing, so if I just show this little diagram here, see how it says row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, and row 6. So if I come back and have a little look at my work just here, so if we say all 6 beads here, that's row 1, the 6 beads of here are row 2, these 6 beads are row 3, row 4, row 5, and then up here, this top row, this top section, that is row 6. So if you have a look again, because it's a tube, imagine that those 6 beads go around into that tube shape. But basically what you have, because you remember it was like a nice flat strip that we brought into a circle, imagine there is your flat strip. So what you're going to do, I almost need to be able to show my mouse when I'm doing this, sorry. What we're going to do, we're adding groups of beads in groups of 4. So if you have a look, when we're doing our next row, let's just say we're looking at the bottom left corner where it says row 1 and row 2. So what we're actually going to do is pick up those first 4 beads. So see how it says 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom left corner, all the beads in that sort of white color, those are the first group of 4 beads. So if I show you just here, I'll pick up 4 beads in orange so that you can see. In fact, I'll grab a third different color so you can see it. There we go. So let's start with some orange. 1, 2, 3, and 4 little beads just here. And we go into the bead beside like so. Pull that all the way through to there. And then up the bead beside. Then if we pick up 4 beads of a different color, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll go down the bead beside, pull that tight, and up the one on the top at the end. And then, do you know what? Let's grab another color even so that it's different from the blue. bit of green, why not? You can mix and match the colors however you like. So pick up a few more. And if we say we've got 4 green ones now, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we'll just add on those last 4 beads, and then we're going to step up. Remember how we did the orange ones first? So we're going to step up into that. So we go down 1, which is the bead from the row below. And if you have a look, see how we have, this was the first bead we picked up. Well, I'll show you that on the next row. But anyway, when we come to stepping up now, we're going to go through the bead that was the first one on the row below, and then we're going to go up through the first 2 beads that we added at this step when we were doing these 2 rows. So when you pull that tight, you can see that we now have, much like our diagram, 3 different colors. So if you say we've got, well, maybe I should have done white, green, and purple to make it a little easier. But anyway, when you can see there, see how each one of them says 1, 2, 3, 4, because we're picking up 4 beads. And then the next one, it says 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I show you why it's written like that, if we say we've got 4 beads here, so let's say bead number 1 can be a blue, bead number 2 is going to be an orange, bead number 3 is the purple, and bead number 4 is that green color. So if you think about how they were laid out in that diagram, it has number 1 is the first bead of the lower row. Then bead number 2 will be the first bead of the higher row. This will be the second bead of the higher row, and this will be the second bead of the lower row. So let's just thread those down. So I'll just go down this little bead just here, and we'll pull it tight. And just to make my life a little easier, I'll go back up the side, just beside there. So if you have a look, remember we picked up the blue first, then we picked up the orange, then we picked up the purple, then we picked up the green. So see how the blue just here is in the lower row. This one is the next one. It's in the top row. This one is in the upper row. And then this one here is in the lower row. So if we look back at that diagram, see how in the bottom left corner it says 1, 2, 3, and 4. You need to understand that when you want to do your patterns, so for example, if you wanted to do like a checkerboard, you need to add, when the rows change, you need to make sure you're picking them up in that particular correct order. So the bottom left of the bottom of the earlier row, then the first bead of the upper row, then the second bead of the upper row, and then finally it's the bottom bead of that first row again. So if we just check out our diagram, I've got another one for you here. So if we have a look, our checkerboard, so if you have a look, rows 1 and 2, it says 4 A's. So if you have a look, I should have done this so that it would be able, that I can use my mouse to show you. But if you look at the 4 white beads in the bottom left corner, they're all the same color. So that's why where it says R1 and 2, so row 1 and 2, it's A, because all 4 of them are the same, which the white is color A. Then if you look at how we do our diagram, so see how we have in the green of the bottom section, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, of that middle at the bottom. That would be the middle section of our row 1 and 2. So if you have a look where it says row 1 and 2, the middle section, it says AABB. So AABB essentially correlates to 2 of color A and then 2 of color B. I almost need to wait, I'll see if I can show my mouse so that you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Hopefully, just give me 5 seconds. If I use my mouse, I think it will make more sense. So let me just grab that little photograph and I'll open it up and then hopefully I can show it to you. Sorry, 1 second. Herringbone rope that we're doing. So if we have a look, This is the diagram we want. All right, just give me 3 seconds and I'll put it up on the screen for you so that you can see it with my mouse. Here we go. Just a few more seconds. Give me a few seconds and... Okay, great. Hopefully this will work briefly. So here, if you have a look on the screen here, there we go. We can see my mouse now. Hopefully you can see it. Maybe I should have made it a bit bigger. So if you imagine rows 1 and 2, if you compare it to that previous diagram that we had just before, what we're doing is, so if these 4 beads down here, hopefully, do you know what? Let's make it even. Nah, I'll leave it for now. So yeah, these 4 beads down in the bottom left corner, this correlates to these 4 just here. So if you think about that diagram that we had where it shows 1, 2, and 3, and 4, like this. So the first, where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, coming back here, this bead here, this is number 1, and that correlates to spot number 1 on the chart. Then you have bead number 2. This correlates to spot number 2 on the chart. This one is bead number 3 just here. That correlates to the 3rd spot on the chart. And then this bead just here is bead number 4 and correlates to the 4th point on our chart just here. Does that make sense? So then once you've added those 4 beads, you need to add your next 4 beads. So if you have a look, this bead here correlates to this one here, which it's the same color A white. Then this is bead number 2, correlates to the A just here, bead number 2. Then, hey, look at that. We've changed colors. Color B is this one just here, which was the 3rd one in that little section. So that's this bead here. Then this little bead just here, number 4, correlates to this one here, and so on. So if you have a look, then again, now in the yellow section, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the bottom right corner. When you come back to your diagram here, this bead here in the bottom is the first B, this one is the second B, 3rd B, and then this one here is the 4th B. So that's why it says B, 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 B. Does that make sense? So if we just pop back to my noggin for a second, not my noggin, to the hands. Let's have a look at the table. I'll just finish this row really quickly, and then I'll show you how it works with that checkerboarding effect. So let's just smash a couple of beads on here, which doesn't matter if it's a bit messy. We don't care. At least I don't care. So let's just pop that there and pull tight. Pull down there and back up that one here. So we'll do our checkerboards of our next row. So let's go with whatever, doesn't matter. These 4 here, down the bead per side. And then we're going to step up through these ones here. 1, 2, and 3. So yeah, if we do our little checkerboard pattern, for example, if we look at our little word chart once again, just here. So we'll start with row A. So it's 4 of color A. Then we have 2 A's and 2 B's, then 2 B's, then 4 B's. So let's just do that now. I'll go that my orange is color A and my purple is color B, shall we? So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 color A's as per my chart. And we'll go down the bead beside, pull that tight, rotate it a little, go back up the next one. And now, because we want to do the next section, which is 2 of color A, then 2 of color B, which will give us our 2 color A's, then the 2 color B's, just here. When we do that, we pick up 2 color A's. So this is the first bead. This one is bead number 2. Then here is bead number 3, which is a B. And then here is bead number 4, which is also a B. So let's pick that up and we'll go down into the bead directly beside, just there. And then we're going to do our third group of little beads just here, which we go up into the row above. And then we can do our 4 color Bs. So B, 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 which is all purples, like so. And when we go back up, exactly the same as always, we're going to step up through the bead below, the top of the bead below, and the first 2 beads that we added in this row. So when you pull that tight, there you go. We've got 2 and 3 and so on. So now if we look back at that pattern, the next row, so this is row 3 and row 4 that we're going to do. So if you look at that diagram now for row 3 and row 4, you can see them there in the pink in the middle, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the first one will be the bead of row 3, then the next one will be the bead of row 4, then row 4 again, and then back to row 3. So having a look at this one, we have 4 of color A, so it's exactly the same, A, 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 A. Then we're going to have A, A, B, B, then A, then B, 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 B. And then when we step up, that's going to bring us back up into position to add our next row. So this is where we're at now. We did all these beads here, and then we just jump up to these ones here. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions or anything that they don't understand, any extra clarity they need? So I'll just do this one very, very quickly, because once you've got the hang of your patterns, you can just whack them out really, really quickly. So if we just do this one here, 4 A's, then we'll go back up this one. We'll do 1, 2, 2 of color A followed by 2 of color B, like so. And then we go down the bead beside, pull tight. And if they're not quite sitting right, you can just readjust them so that they are. Then here we've got our next one. So we'll go back up this one here. And then we rotate round and we're going to pick up 4 of our color B. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you go down the bead beside that one. Pull that tight. And back up. 1, 2, and 3. See? Pull tight. And there you go. There's your next row complete. So now what we would be doing essentially is rows 5 and 6. So if you have a look just here, we're doing rows 5 and 6, which is these 2 here. 5 and 6 are these ones here. So we're going to go B, 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 B. So that's why that says B, 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 B. Then we're going to go B, B, A, A. Hence B, B, A, A. Then A, 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 A. Easy, right? So now let's do that really quickly, just so that you can sort of see how that's coming together. Now, 1 second. So now if we just pick up those beads, so now we've got our color Bs first, and this will help to give us that sort of change, to give us that different checkerboard. And as I said, you can make these patterns in whatever colors you want, however you prefer them, whatever takes your fancy. If you like a big jumbled mess, you can do it as a mess. So now we're going to do the second section, which is 2 Bs followed by 2 As. And then pull that down. Back up the next one, which is just 4 of color A. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down the 2 beads beside, like so. Pull it tight. And once you've got the hang of it, you can really blast these rows out quickly. Back up through 3 beads. So it's literally exactly the same every time. It's just the order that you pick up those beads to give you that different checkerboarding effect. Because the pattern that we're making essentially is this one just here. See this? This is the pattern we're making right now. So you just have to continue, continue, continue. And when you look back at this pattern that we have, once you get to the top, so you can see we've got the, where is it? There it is. We've got the little beads just here. So once you've got to the very, very top up here, you've done this row, and this row, you can completely just go back to the beginning and it will repeat again. And then you can do it again and again and again and just keep repeating it until you've decided, you know what, I've had enough of doing this pattern. I've made 6 little groups. So you can see on this one, for example, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little groups. Then I went, do you know what? Let's go back to doing like a bland, just a plain yellow. Then let's do like a spiral. I don't know why the colors look a little bit funny. This one is meant to be a proper, really nice turquoise color, but for some reason it looks extra bright. Maybe if I turn down my light a little. Oh, well, whatever. But anyway, yeah. For example, if you wanted to do the little watermelon, you can do 3 rows of green followed by a white, and then you can just put little black dots here and there, just sort of a random assortment wherever you like inside the pink, and then you finish off again with a white and 3 greens. If you want to separate it between the next pattern, you can stick in just a random row of a particular color if you want to. You can make them long, you can make them short, you can have these big long sections of a single color. You can make small sections of a single color, make long sections of sort of polka dots. I don't know. It's up to you. But anyway, when you have finally reached the end and you say, do you know what? My finished piece is long enough now. I've had enough and I'm going to finish this off. So for example, this one here, it's long enough now that I'm going to turn it into, I'm going to give it its clasp. And what we need to do is, remember how at the beginning we stitched them together like this just here. See how they sit a teeny weeny bit more square compared to these ones at the very, very top. Well, what we're going to do to fix that is more or less make our far end match our first end. Oh, actually, no, I'll show you changing threads first, how to add on a new thread, for example. So let's just say you've almost run out of thread just here. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can just weave your thread back into your work, tie some knots, come back out the top with a brand new thread. But my personal favorite is to use what is called a weaver's knot. So a weaver's knot, there's a couple of different ways to do it. Just imagine, oh no, this is all the thread I have left. What am I going to do? I haven't finished. I need to keep going, and so on. All you have to do, there's a couple of different ways that you can do these knots, but this particular one is my favorite. So what you do, you take your teeny weeny tiny little bit like this, and you fold it over into like this sort of shape here. See that? So it's now in like a little loop. See? Just like that. Pinch that together, and this is going to be sort of the start, one side of our little weaver's knot. So you can see, Brittany says, I've got a question. Just ask it. If you've got any questions, just put a big fat letter Q at the beginning of your comment, and I will try and answer them. So yeah, now that we're going to do this, what we're going to do is actually, maybe I'll show you with some white thread. I'll grab myself a little piece of white thread just so you can see the difference between the two threads. Here we go. So yeah, we create ourselves this teeny weeny little loop, like so. This is enough. And then with our brand new thread, we're going to just bring it in through the loop from the underside to the top, like that. And then we're going to go underneath both of them. See that? So underneath there like this. Pinch it with your fingers if you can, like that. See there? So this was our little loop. It goes from here, goes through here, and then underneath both. So up, out of the top, underneath both of those little bits just there. See? Underneath. Now we're going to just take this little bit here and push it up into this little loop at the top that we've created. Inside there. See? If I give myself a little extra thread, it'll be a little bit easier. Here we go. So through this little loop here at the top, inside there, and then we just pull this one like this direction, and there you go. Now they are tied beautifully together like this, just here. And when you want to start tying your knots, you can just pull on all 4 threads as you see fit. And then you are now ready to continue weaving on. So you can snip off this little bit here. You can make this a bit smaller, but you're ready to just start weaving again. And that is going to be a nice secure little knot just there. So all you have to do is just fold that back, pull it all nice and tight like that, and it's ready to go. So anyway, once you've got that, I'll see if I can pull it apart. Might not be so easy, but if I really give it a tug. Do you want to see it a second time, or is once enough? I'll see if I can do it again once more. Wait a minute. Here, I'll just pull it off. There we go. It takes quite a bit of force to really pull it off, but anyway, we'll do it once more just to show you. Create that loop like so, pinch it tight, go up through the loop, then underneath like so, under the loop, and then take the end back over the top and through this new loop right here at the top, and then just pull that tight, and there's that nice brand new little knot. If I can zoom in, hopefully you can see it's a really small knot so that it doesn't come undone, and then that won't get stuck in the beads. So then you can just continue beading along, and you've got your brand new thread like that, nice and firm. So if I pull a little harder, you can see it's quite firm. If I really, really pull, maybe then it will come undone a little, but you've got to really, really pull. So anyway, there we go. That's how you add on a brand new thread. So now let's jump back over to this piece. You can see I've done one of those little weaver's knots just here to extend this thread, just because I was going to continue on, but this is probably long enough. We're going to make this end match to how we did our other one at the start. What did we think of that weaver's knot, by the way? I hope you liked it. So Brittany says, do you post the projects that we emailed from your completed tutorials? We don't do that anymore because we started a Facebook group because lots of people wanted to share their pictures and stuff. And hopefully by showing it a second, by having that Facebook group, there were so many pictures that we were getting. It means that you can just share them at any time you like, which there's a link to our Facebook group in the description there. I'm going to have a sip of my tea finally. Curtis, any fun new Pride designs in the works? I don't know if we have any new ones coming just yet, but if you haven't seen, we do have some really good ones. There was like a pair of rainbow earrings, a rainbow bracelet, a rainbow pendant, and we have a bunch of rainbow colored pen wraps, which are very, very fun. So anyway, now what we're going to do here is make this end. See how all of these little bits are sort of flopping around and stuff. We need to attach them to each other so that this is going to be firm. You can see that weaver's knot holds really nicely. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just weave around each of these to stitch them to each other. Jan has just put a link to the Facebook group into the chat. So thank you very much to Jan, which I'm going to show it on the screen. You won't be able to click it, but that is the link there. It is in the description, so go find that link from the description. Anyway, so yeah, here we are now. We're going to just stitch these together in the same way that we sort of did it when we started. So if we just pull this one through without picking up any beads, when we're ready to finish, we're going to, without picking up any beads, we're going to just join all of these little bits one to the next to each other so that they are nice and firm. See that? The knot of your weaver's knot just goes directly through that little bead, no problems at all. In fact, actually, do you know what? I'm going to weave down a little bit just to get rid of my weaver's knot, just in case it's going to cause me any grief a bit later. There we go. Just get it through a couple more beads just to hide it. So now we can go back up the bead directly beside. So that's just to get rid of my weaver's knot. You don't usually need to go further than just the 2 beads at the top. So anyway, just to stitch these together, we would go down the bead beside, and pretty much the reverse of what we did at the beginning. Back up the bead that we just started from. See there? Then go down the bead beside. Back up where we started. And then just continue around. So down here. There we go. That takes us to the next one. Now we're going to go up the next bead. And link it to the one previous. And then we can go up here. And you can see we've almost stitched all of those beads together. So this is the last little join we need to do. So down here. Back up the beads previous. And there we go. That will do us. So now, one last thing that we're going to do. So at this point here, this is the point, if you wanted to use, remember at the beginning how I showed you that really cool clasp, this thing here? If you wanted to just use this lovely magnetic clasp just here, if this is all you fancy, you can go and grab this clasp from our website. It is not on our, it's not part of the kit, but it is a little fun fella that we have on our website. So if you want to go and get this one, if you just head to the Bead Spider website, so if you follow the link in the descriptions there where it says, hey, I want to make the kit or whatever, it'll take you to this page, the same as if you were on our home page, beadspider.co.uk. It's the same as this page just here. So if you have a look, this is today's tutorial that we're watching right now. And if you scroll down a little, these are the 3 different kit colors. So this is the Copacabana, the Sunset Splash, and the Tropical Fiesta. But scroll on down and look, there they are. 6mm glue-in ends just here. There's one here. Or the rose gold color is just there. If you want to get that, that is this little finding that I have here. By the way, while I'm here, I should mention, if you want to get all 3 kits, you can get 20% off. So instead of £44.85, let's zoom in. Instead of $44.85, it's $35.88. If you are in the US or in Europe, you can choose your currency up here in the top right corner. Say US dollars. It should be automatic if you are in the US, but if it isn't, you can make that change there. And then look at that. Instead of 60, it is 48. So 20% discount. Big, big saving. This one, I think it works out that one of the kits is 60% off, basically. It's a big saving when you do it like that. So anyway, that's if you want to get multiple kits. So yeah, this little finding just here, if you want to, you can just fill it with glue. And then at this point, you can just weave off this thread and push this inside this little fella here, which should just pop in. If you make it too tight. Ah, no, that's why. I need to reduce it down. I forgot the reducing down part. But anyway, you can just get it into the tube once it's there. There we go. It does fit in. And then you can just have that as your clasp. Do the same on the other end. But I'm going to show you how you reduce it down with beadwork. So first things first. So we're going to graduate this down into a small little end. So the first thing that we need to do, if you want to have like a normal clasp, not this really fun fella here, what we're going to need to do is to grab ourselves, this thread is what's causing the problem, I think. What we're going to do now is essentially we're going to reduce this down, but we need to give us something. What glue do you recommend? I recommend, this is a question from Madonna, what kind of glue do you recommend? I recommend that you use like a silicon-based glue, not super glue. Super glue is no good. It needs to be something that will bond to both glass and metal. So silicon-based ones, there's like Gorilla is a brand here in the UK, Gorilla Glue. That's a good one. But just anything like epoxy type glue as well. There's some that I have just here. E6000 is another one. F6000. This one is flipped. Here you go. Fix and grip. High strength, all-purpose glue. The thing is, what's important is that it will bond to both metal and glass, because the beads are glass and the finding is metal. So just whatever you can find that is good quality glue, something like that, you know, just from the local shop. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything, you know, amazing, just something like that. Craft. So anyway, what we're going to do now is reduce this down. We're going to shrink it down, but if you're not using this, you're going to need to attach a finding somehow. So this is a clever little, clever if I say so myself. This is something I came up with, a little design idea of my own, to think, how on earth am I going to attach findings to the end of this tube? So the way that we would do that is we're going to take a head pin, just like this one here, which I hopefully have some round nose pliers. I might not have my tools here, annoyingly. Hopefully, if Jermaine is watching, she will be listening and grab me some round nose pliers and some cutters. But if not, anyway, we've got time. So I'm going to just thread a couple of seed beads. It doesn't matter which ones, but just 3 or 4 little seed beads onto, sounds like my tools are arriving as we speak. No, it's been taken. You'll have to grab me one, please, from the other room, if you don't mind. So yeah, there we go. If you have a look, we're going to just slide some little beads onto a head pin. If it's a bit messy, it doesn't matter, but this is just going to give us a little bit of extra depth into our little piece just here. So this is what we want to have, and we're going to stick this into the end of our tube. Just put it in about halfway, doesn't matter necessarily. We're going to bead around this, but this is going to, we're going to enclose our work around this so that then we can make sure that this isn't going to come off, and we can attach findings to it. You don't have to use size 10s, by the way. You can use a bigger seed bead if you want to. Whatever takes your fancy. You can just use whatever beads on the inside. But if you're going to have these seed beads, you may as well use them, right? So let's grab our thread and needle. And this is the process of how you shrink this down to be smaller. So the way we're going to do it, I'll use this same color bead here, which is this one, just to make it a little bit more pleasant, like so. And just get a few of those out. We're not going to need many beads. So we're going to do it one bead at a time. So just make sure that your head pin is sufficiently in, but not coming out. You know what I mean? So get your beads inside. You don't want to lose it inside, but you don't want to lose it coming out either. So something I recommend is to just grab some pliers, and because we're going to cut this bit off surely, just put a little bend right at the end just there, so that if it accidentally slips in, well, it can't go inside the tube because that little bend is preventing it. So anyway, that's going to be fine. And now we can start beading. So I'm going to pick up one of that same color bead and see how we're exiting from this little bead just here, this fella here. So pick up one bead, and we're going to go down the exact same bead. There we go. You can go down 1, you can go down 2, you can go down 5. It doesn't really matter. But essentially, we're going to go back down the exact same bead so that this bead is just going to sit directly on top of that little column. And then we're going to go back across and up into the next bead, the one directly beside. So just pull that nice and tight. Pick up one bead. And we're going to do this on top of all 6 of our beads. So we're exiting this bead. So we've picked up one bead, and we're going to go straight back down the exact same bead. See, look, you can go down way more beads if you want to. Just have to remember that if you go down 4 beads, you have to come back up the same number of beads that you go down. So I went down 4 that time. Let's go back up 4 beads. The number is unimportant as to how many you go down. See? So there we go. Do it once more until we've done it 6 times in total. So here we go. Through here, whatever, I went down 3, makes no difference. Pull it tight. There we go. Now back up 3, 1, 2, and 3. Pick up 1 bead, down the exact same bead again, just a couple, doesn't matter how many, and then directly across into the one beside, and add on 1 more, right there. So here we go, 1 more. Also, just for like design purposes, if you finish and start with just a single block color, it does make your life easier because, I mean, in all likelihood, this is only going to show at the very back of your neck. So if you've just done a single color to begin and or end with, it makes life much easier. So let's just come up here. Let's slide this in here. Try and get that last little bead. You want to make sure that the bead is inside the tube. There we go. That's what's important. There we go. And we'll add in our last one now. And down that same bead. And back up the one directly beside, back where we began. And at this point, we're going to tighten these to each other. This is essentially allowing us to change direction. Because if you have a look, all these beads go up in this direction. But these new beads that we've added, when we weave through them, are the other direction. They're sort of sideways now. See that? See, this one's going in this direction. This one here, we can go through. And then this one here. And look, see, they're sideways now. We've changed our herringbone from going up to now sideways. Just a little bit of jiggery pokery there that allows us to change directions. And when you're trying to shrink down the size, this is definitely a much easier way. So just pass through all 6 of those beads. It doesn't matter which side of the bead you go through really either. They should sit up nicely, and you'll see that this is the side it wants to go through. So there we go. And then you just come around and look, pull tight, and that gives you an ever so slightly smaller little different group of 6 just there that's going to start the closing down process. So now, if we want to do our next one, doesn't matter which bead you're exiting. Let's just, I don't know, let's go from this one here. Doesn't matter. But if you have a look, we've got 6 beads on the top, right? So pick up from here. We're going to pick up 2 seed beads and we're going to jump across into this bead on the complete opposite side. So we'll go 1 and 2. And then we're going to skip 1, 2 and go into that one on the complete opposite side of our tube. See there? So we're exiting this one here. Skip 1, skip 2. Pull that tight. And just make sure that they sit on top of your beadwork, just there. Then we're going to pick up 2 more. 1, 2. And then we're going to go back into this bead where we started. So see how we came out of this bead, we added on these 2. We went into this one. So we're going to pick up 2 and go back into this bead where we began. So skip 1, skip 2, into this one here. Pull that tight. And just plop that onto the top like this. See there? And now what we're going to do is just weave through these 4 beads. Once. And twice. And just pass around these 4 beads that we've added now. See that? And that is going to close this little space really tightly around that head pin, and those beads that we put on the inside are now basically just working as a giant stop piece that prevents your little head pin from coming out of the top. Elaine says clever. I say exactly. I think so too. I'm a little smug about this. I've been like, I was sitting there for like a day thinking, how on earth am I going to get this? How am I going to attach a finding? Am I going to use a glue on, or what do I want to do? I want to do something a little bit more unconventional, a little bit more interesting. If we're going to do a tutorial video, let's come up with something interesting. And there you have it, reducing it down. That is my idea there that I have come up with to try and make it a little easier. Now, at this point, we don't need this thread anymore. So we can literally just weave this down into our work, make it disappear, back down into here. Maybe I'll go round one bead. I don't know where that knot is. There's a 1 in 6. It's a bit like Russian roulette. There's a 1 in 6 chance that I'm going to go down one of these rows and it's going to turn out to be the one that has the knot in it. And my thread will get stuck or something. But anyway, so let's just go down a few beads to here. Pull this through. Good. Not the one with the knot. We got lucky this time. Pull that through there. And we can just do some weaver's knots. So if you've never seen a weaver's knot, this is a way that you can change threads as well, is that you just weave your old thread down into your work, find a gap between some beads, and if you have a look very, very closely, see how there's this teeny weeny tiny little bridge of thread between these two beads just there? We want to take our needle underneath that little bridge there, and as we pull the thread through, creates a little loop. See that on this side just here? Try not to get it twisted. It's much better if it's not twisted. If you can, it can be a little bit tricky, but it's better if not. And then we're going to just take our needle back through that loop like this. And as we pull it tight, try not to get caught on the head pin. Just make sure it slots nicely into that same little gap just there. Pull tight. And there you go. And then you can weave down a few beads more, however many, it doesn't matter. 4 in this instance I will do. And then once again, there's a teeny weeny little bridge of thread just here. See that? So let's go under here and then pull like so. And then go down through here. Pull tight. There you go. David says, would like to make my own toggle clasp. Well, David, if you haven't seen on our website, we have a pattern, the Eclipse necklace. Unfortunately, we don't have the beads to make the kit anymore, but we do have the pattern for the Eclipse necklace. It's very, very similar to this. It uses herringbone stitch to make a nice tube, but it includes a lovely beaded toggle design for doing the end of your herringbone tube. So there you go. You can see I've done a few knots now. That was David's question saying he wanted to do a toggle. Yeah, no problem. Check out our Eclipse necklace pattern on the website. So there you go. You can see we've got our pattern now. You can we've got our thing here. We've got our nice little findings there. It's quite firm, so it shouldn't slip out. It would really take some force to get those beads through that gap. So there's that, this there. We don't need this anymore. We can cut that off. But actually what we're going to do, we're going to pull this all the way out so that it is to the maximum point. And we're going to just bend this over just here, like so, to like a 90-degree angle. So, I mean, obviously I should have used my pliers to do it, but I was lazy. So there we go. There's a nice 90-degree bend at the end of our beadwork just here. If you got a little bit extra, that's fine. Don't worry about it. But essentially, we're going to cut this and create like a little loop. So if I grab myself some cutters, if you leave yourself about an inch, the bigger this bit that you leave, the bigger the loop will be. The smaller you make it, the smaller the loop will be, but the more difficult it is to turn it into a loop. So once we have that, we can now take this here, take our little round nose pliers. Nancy says, do you sell the thread in big spools? No, we only sell them in 20-meter lengths at the minute because those spools are about 10,000 meters and would be very expensive. Well, they are very expensive, for us at least, to buy. So now we're going to turn this into a little loop, which you can then attach your little head pin to. If I zoom out very quickly, I'll just show you my technique on doing this. So when you want to make a little loop like this, I find that if you turn your wrist so that it is already twisted, like literally as far as you can twist it in the opposite direction before you grip whatever it is that you're about to bend, it just gives you more leverage to rotate backwards when you want to start adding on your loop. So if I just now see, look at that, rotate, look how much extra rotation I can get because I've literally gone from as far as I could rotate this way to as far as I can rotate that way. So you get quite a lot of rotation. And then if you have a look, what do you get from having done that? You get a lovely little loop right at the end of your work. So if we just zoom in here, you'll be able to see. There you go. One little lovely loop at the end of our work, which we can maneuver around a little to get it sitting perfectly neat, like so. And then this is going to give us something that we can attach whatever we want to. So for example, if you had just a small piece that was about this long, why not attach an earring? So you can have a little patterned, a little watermelon earring. How fun is that? I'm going to make these into watermelon earrings. I'm going to make that this evening, actually. I'm going to make them from Maxine, little watermelons. That's such a fun idea. Great. And then all you have to do is just, using some regular pliers, is just, so see how our little loop just here, we want to open it back up. But if you open it like this, it's gonna bend in like a funny way, and you'll weaken the metal here. So you don't want to do that. You want to open it like this. See? So instead of like this, open it sideways. So let's just grab the end of our thing, and as we twist, see that? See how I've twisted it sideways? You could put an ear wire on, but obviously that's of no use for a bracelet. So I'm going to grab myself one lobster, like that, lobster clasp. And then I'm going to just fold it back in the direction from whence it came till it is straight again. And then there you go. You have a beautiful little clasp at the end of your work there. Now, the problem is I need to do the same at the other end, but with my test piece, I put a silver head pin in, which is an accident because I want it to be gold. But it doesn't matter. No one will ever see this silver head pin. You'll just know. It's our little secret. You, me, and everyone else who's watching, this is our little secret. So now I'll do this properly with the plier this time. Get the right at the tip of your beadwork and fold it over. Who's been watching the football, by the way, the Euros? I know you Americans maybe. Oh, actually, do you know what? I wonder, because the Cricket World Cup is going on in the USA at the minute. I want to know how many of you American viewers even knew that there was cricket going on in the US at the minute, and that the US are in the quarter, they're in like the semifinals. I want to know how many actually knew. I'm interested. Anyway, so I'm going to do this one exactly the same. Look how much better this bend is for having used the tool. So let's just cut that off. Kay said I did. David said I hate football. Well, there's cricket too. Maybe you like cricket. Who knows? So anyway, I've probably made this a bit small, but doesn't matter. Let's just give this the very teeniest little tip bit. Just here. Because it's the wrong color, I wanted it to be really small. So let's just roll that right the way over to the other side. There we go. It's not as neat, but that's fine. I'll fix it in a second when I've attached my little finding, which in this instance I'm going to use a closed jump ring. Lois said, I didn't even know we played cricket here. No, I didn't think you did. But it's, for some reason, the Cricket World Cup is the 2020 World Cup for cricket, which is the Big Bash, they call it, because is going on in the US, in New York, I think. So there we go. Let's just rotate that. Get it nicely into that little nook. Just here. And bend this back into position. And just give it a nice little squeeze to get it perfectly closed. Definitely should have made my loop a little larger. But hey. Come on now. Tell you, it's giving me grief. This is, whenever it's live, I tell you, if it's not live, it would have been so smooth. I would have just been like, oh, I stuffed it. Oh, well, let's fix it. There we go. That's almost closed. Still not closed. Jeez Louise. There we go. That's surely going to have fixed it, I hope. There. So now we have our lobster and our closed ring ready to wear as a lovely necklace, which, I mean, obviously I'm not going to wear it, but I'm going to give it to Maxine to wear. And you can see there we go. Ta-da! And then there's your finished necklace with that little I really like the watermelon. If I have to be honest, the watermelon is my favorite. You will get the watermelon pattern if you get the kit, by the way. So there we go. There's the necklace. You can make it whatever length you want. If you're getting the kit, you have enough to make about 1 meter's worth of tube. So you could probably even do a wrap bracelet. You could maybe do 2 necklaces, but you have findings for a necklace, a bracelet, and a pair of earrings. So if we just pop this on, do you know what? These are really cool. I mean, you know what? Depending on the colors you used, you could also make this as jewelry for men. This is like so cool. The patterns make it really fun. I'm just trying to put it on right now, my little lobster. There we go. See, look, you could do it as like a double as well, which, here we go. There you go. And you can just see all of the fun patterns. They stack. I mean, obviously, this is way too big to be a bracelet, but it just shows that if you wanted to, you could do it as a double bracelet as well. Maybe you could even stick some memory wire through there, which maybe I'll stick that on there, and that will give it like a firmer shape. Fun like that. I'm also going to do a series of like an alphabet so that you can do A, B, C, etc. Write messages on here. I know that the little beads that have the letters on them are extremely popular at the minute. Why not make those little beads yourself? Anyway, so that's the piece just there. Do it as a necklace, do it as a bracelet, make a little mini piece. The other thing is, if you wanted to just do it as an earring, you don't need a head pin in the bottom. You just do the shrinking down. You just don't have a head pin. That's all. That's the only difference between if you want to do it as a necklace or a bracelet, or earrings, is that you just make it one little tube. Maybe these are fun. I don't know. Or do them plain. I also really like this pattern. This one I think is really cool too. I don't know. I like all of them. I like them all. The spirals are fun. Lots of patterns. But anyway, if you want to go and grab our kit, that's pretty much it for today's tutorial. If you want to go and grab yourself the kit, there is a link in the description. So if you're on YouTube, the description is down below. You'll have to expand it, and then you'll see there's loads of links and information and all sorts of things like that. There's going to be links to where you can find our kit for this design here. There's 3 different colorway options. And for the next week, there's a discount of 20% if you buy if you buy all 3 kits. So if we just pop over to the Bead Spider website just here, this is the page you will arrive at where it has the video at the top. You can scroll on down And here they are, the Copacabana, which is this one here. It has these 5 colors. The the Sunset Splash is this one just here. The Tropical Fiesta, which I really love, is this particular one. And then if you want to get all 3 right there, it's a really big saving, 20% off. If you see, look, instead of $44.85, it's $35. It's almost, you're almost getting one of the kits, like, well, it's more than half price. I think it's about 60% off one of the kits. Works out very, very inexpensive. Now, if you liked that little rainbow clasp, we've got them here, which you can just use to glue the ends in. If you need some head pins, lobsters, all of those sorts of things are there. The Spider-on thread. Now, someone asked me, where do I get the thread from? Up the top here, it says threads, chains, and wire. So if you have a look right here at the very, very top, if I can zoom in, Spider-on thread. If you click on that, it'll take you to where you can find it all just here, where we have white, we have a dark sort of beige, dark blue, this lovely rich. This one is great for doing like purple, dark purple projects. The charcoal, which I've been using today. There's black, teal, a light fawn color. Oh, this is the thicker one, the thicker one. There's lots of different ones all inside there, lots of different colors. And each one of these includes a beading needle. So the beading needle I used on today's stream, you'll get that. Now, one last thing, which I'll show you on the homepage of our website. So the Kaleidoscope Kiss, which is the name of today's kit, 20% off for 1 week only. You can view all 3 colors. But if you just visit the Bead Spider website, www.beadspider.co.uk, this is where you'll arrive. Scroll on down. You can see this is what we promoted last week. We did our Queen Charlotte the other week as well. But if you just keep scrolling down, look, broaden your horizons. There's still, until Sunday, 20% off the necklace and bracelet, the Horizon necklace and bracelet. So if you want to see what that one looks like, there's this gorgeous white one. There's the purple one here. There's a really lovely, it's like greeny yellow tones and blue tones called Eden, which is lovely. The Sun Glow. There's also the Oceania blue one. But just over here, if you click Select Options, just here, you get 20% off when you buy any 3 or more. So you can choose any that you like. So just say you want to get a Sun Glow. You like the Sun Glow. In fact, you want to get 2 Sun Glows because you're going to make one for you and one for your sister or your whomever, a friend. And then you want to get an Alaska one because someone's got their wedding coming up, so you're going to give them a wedding gift. Or maybe it's the bride and 2 bridesmaids. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, any 3 or more, you get 20% off for that one. Add it to basket, and you get that lovely big saving on the Horizon kit just there. That's only until Sunday. So if you want to go and get that one, you have until Sunday. Otherwise, the Kaleidoscope Kiss, which we've done today, you have about 10 days. You have until next Sunday for your 20% off if you buy all 3 colors. Right. That is it from me for today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned some good things. The things that we learned today, what did we do? So we learned how to do like the base structure, which was ladder stitch. Then from the base of ladder stitch, we learned how to do the double herringbone. I explained how to understand the patterns / which if you get the kit, maybe I'll make like a free download of a patterns so that you can make your own patterns. Maybe that's a nice idea. There's that one as well, which I'm going to do. Where then what else did we learn? We also learned, yes, I showed you how to reduce it down, shrink it down. I showed you that clasp where you could just glue it in. You literally just fill the end with glue and then shove your beadwork in. That's easy. But I also showed you how to do the bit with the head pin, how to reduce it down, how to turn on the loop, how to add on the findings. So the whole thing, we covered a lot. There was a lot of different things in there. But the great thing about this design, you can really just mix and match your colors, mix and match your designs, get creative, play with your designs, do whatever it is that you want. You know, if you want to have a spot of just one single color, you wanted to use 2 colors, then it transitions from a spiral into a checkerboard, into whatever. It's up to you. There's no one telling you how you have to do it. I am going to try and come up with some more patterns over the next week. So hopefully come next week during I should be able to promote a new bunch of even more patterns so that you can get the pattern download for this one as well if you want to. But yeah, plenty to be getting on with. I will be back again in about 2 weeks' time. So make sure you keep an eye out for that tutorial. If you haven't seen us before, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like on this video, of course. If you've got any questions even after the video, come and drop them down below. If you've got any suggestions, things you want to see, extra things you want to know, just drop them down, and I'm always happy to try and accommodate those things that you want to see, those things you want to learn, whatever it is, let me know. So anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. There will be more to see on our newsletter, so sign up to the email newsletter. Have a lovely weekend, and I will see you all bright and early. I say bright and early. If you're in the US, bright and early. A nice Friday afternoon 2 weeks from now for another fantastic and crystal heavy, sparkly tutorial in 2 weeks' time. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.